Okay, so welcome to my very first webinar. I've chosen to do this one on tuning forks and essential oils because those are the two things I know the most about as far as my knowledge goes. I want to welcome you in. Today is Wednesday, May 15th, and we're coming up pretty soon to the Children of Light Conference in uh, Castle Rock, Colorado, and that will be June 17th through the 22nd, the 17th and the 22nd being travel days. The event will be the 18th through the 21st. So if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now. We will take last minuters, no problem. So there's my plug for that. Um, so in the beginning,
Oh, jeez.
in the beginning of our work, um, Joe Crane was receiving visits from the angel he fondly named Michael. Turns out he was Michael, the angel. As they call him in the Catholic world, the archangel. However, we're not Catholic, so they're just angels. Um, they started appearing to Joe and having these visits with him about gathering seven masters and teaching them to teach. And as this conversation went on, Joe had completed the first of these gatherings. And right after the first of these gatherings, here, buddy, let me put you out. There you go. Excuse me. Right after the first of these gatherings, the angels started giving us tools to use to help raise our vibrations. One of the first tools they gave was the gate of grace. I'm not going to talk about that one. That's a whole different conversation. However, I will say that you need one at your home, in your yard, or in your healing room. And it's a series of stones that are that carry a specific vibration so that they can open up this gateway of grace so that you can have an undisturbed ball of grace that's completely sterile. And there's two reasons for the gate of grace. And the first reason is for angelic communication. And the second reason is for healing. And that's about all that guy does. So, as soon as we got that information, we started receiving information about tuning forks and essential oils. Now, first, I'm going to talk about the tuning forks. The first set of tuning forks that they talked to us about was, or talked to Joe about, was the chakra set of tuning forks. We have more folks coming in. Welcome, welcome. We have, we call them a standard set. However, the reason for that is it's a standard frequency. It's a harmonic spectrum. They're very common force. They're A through E. I grabbed the one that had the missing fork. I'm going to just use mine. Of course, I'm going to grab the missing fork. So, as you can see, they're color coded. There's actually seven in that set. And basically, they are color coded. Joe thought he color coded them so that he could tell the difference between them. And then what Michael had said was they're color coded because not only are you dealing with tone, frequency, and vibration, but you're also dealing with light and color. So when you're using these frequencies, these forks actually are colored to the chakra you're working on. And in the standard set, we start a chakra tuning differently than you would in, let's say, a yoga practice. In the yoga practice, you start with the root and you work your way up. This particular philosophy, Michael showed us 12 chakras. Um, and we start with the center, the heart chakra. There's an equal amount of chakras on above and below. Okay. And so what we're doing is we're balancing. So on either side of this is where the balance comes in as you start tuning the chakras. Okay. You start with the heart because when you're doing spiritual work, what do you want to do? You want to open your heart. Okay. Then what happens is you move down to the solar plexus chakra and you use the yellow fork, which represents the mind, which is right here by your stomach. It's kind of odd. I guess when you get hungry, that triggers your mind to be hangry. But the best way to get to a man's heart is through his stomach. So at least the old saying goes. So once the heart is open, then the mind opens. Okay. Once you open up your mind, then you move to the throat chakra, which is located at the throat. This particular one is blue. Mine have a little bit of wear because I use them a lot. That way you may speak with love. Okay. Then you cruise down to the solar plexus chakra. And this one is orange, and it has to do with joy and emotions. Also has your sexual organs in that area. And that helps with your joy. Okay. Once you open that chakra up, you move all the way up to the third eye chakra, which is some folks have a little indentation there because they practice opening their third eye. When this one's open, then your creation starts happening. Okay. Then you move down to the root chakra, which is at the base or your tailbone, or your bottom, and you use the red tuning fork. And this one grounds you physically. Okay? And you move all the way up to the crown, and you use the violet tuning fork. It opens up your connection with spirit, the universe. This is where you get most of your messaging is from the upper chakras. Then it kind of gets a little complicated. You move to a place just between the calves and the knees, excuse me, between the knees and the thigh. Here you will find an infrared ball of energy known as the omega chakra. You're going to use two forks. You're going to use the red fork and the yellow fork to strike and tune that chakra. The divine feminine associated there. It's a infrared ball of energy just resting. It's also associated with the Shekinah. So if you have a Shekinah fork, you can use the Shekinah fork for that particular chakra. Then you move above your head about 18 inches, and there you'll find a ultraviolet ball of energy resting. This is known as the alpha chakra. The forks you use for that are the blue tuning fork and the violet tuning fork. That is associated with divine masculine. Since that one's open and flowing, it moves on to the next chakra, which is between the calf muscles and the knee, and or in the ankle. This one is a silver ball of energy there, and it is called the parachute. And those forks that you use is the red and the orange. Okay. Now, if you have the Sandalphon fork, you can use the sandal. The Metatron. Moving all the way up to the very top, you'll find a golden ball of energy about 3 feet above your head. This is known as the angelic chakra. These ones we're going to be using is the purple and the black. Two frequencies together create the opening for that chakra to flow. And it's the angelic chakra. So that allows the angels to help guide you, whatever it is that you need them to do. They do give you messages, they guide you. Okay? So once all 11 of those spots are tuned and flowing, it allows for the 12th chakra to come into being. And this is known as the divine chakra.
I'm lost.
Okay. Well, the divine chakra holds no note or color, and it's the chakra that goes all the way around your body. It kind of looks like that. Well, I don't have one here. It kind of looks like that in the picture of Michael that Joe painted in Michael's right hand is a gold and silver star. And that's what your ethereal body looks like. Once it starts spinning and gaining momentum, the sides collapse. You start creating a sphere. And at the top and the bottom is what is known as a torus tube, or the breath of God. So that's when you're in balance. Once you balance and tune your chakras, what's actually happening around your body is this ball is forming and the flow is moving your energy in a very positive direction so that you can receive whatever it is that you need to receive. You can also
Mm.
work on whatever it is that you need to work on, be it a physical ailment, mental ailment, or a emotional ailment. The sacral doesn't really need any healing, so they don't teach us too much about that.
Dave,
So, yes, Cindy has a
I
question.
can't hear you very well.
Oh, okay. How about I turn the thing closer? Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, but there's this background noise that I don't know what it is. It's not coming from.
Somebody's got their speaker on.
Yeah, they have to
If
turn.
everybody would just mute, that would be great, and then we don't have any background noise and other people can hear the conversation too. All right,
Thank you.
cool. Thank you. So this was the first set that they gave us. Now, this is one of the more important sets. They call it the old forks. There's nothing old about these forks. These are the foundational forks, in my opinion. They help create the balance for the masters to start absorbing the energies that the angels are giving us through the frequencies of the forks when we use them, as well as uh, being able to be open and flowing. We knock ourselves out of alignment on a regular basis. If you get an emotional hit, you could feel it in your stomach, in that sacral chakra moving. You get a mental hit, you feel it in your gut, and that's your gut feeling, of course, and that's that chakra moving out of alignment. You get hurt really bad in your heart. That one hurts the most, like a family member being lost, or somebody saying something that that hurts you real bad, somebody that you care for. That'll knock this one off. Your throat chakra gets knocked off by either talking too much or not talking enough. There is that. Okay. Your creativity gets stifled by you not paying attention to your creative side, and so on and so forth. These books basically kind of show you the gifts and attributes to somebody still has their sound on that's making some noise. I think it's the Zoom user. Let me go ahead and mute you there. Go ahead and mute, please.
The only one I see that doesn't have that red mute thing on their picture is Cindy.
Okay.
Perfectly quiet here.
Okay. Well, go ahead and mute anyway, just in case there's background noise
Yes,
you may
dear.
not be hearing. So, okay, back to the fork. Sorry about that. This being the foundation of the healing aspects that the angels gave, is important to you because when you're balanced and centered, you think better, you speak better, you feel better, you are able to be more efficient in what it is that you're setting out to do. Now, tuning the chakras is real easy to do. You could do it by yourself, you could do it with a friend. One of the things I've noticed about the tools that the angels have given us over the years is they were really adamant about using them on ourselves. However, a lot of times when you find a new tool, you want to bring it out and share it with your friends and stuff like that, and maybe add it to the practice that you're in. But really, truly, the best way to learn how to use these forks is to use them on yourself, because all of the stuff the angels have given us over the years is introspective. You're going inside. So we had these forks we got them about 98, 99, somewhere in that neighborhood. And they started adding the color on. When I first got gathered in 98, we didn't have tuning forks or oils or anything like that. But the person who gathered me did have a set of the harmonic spectrum. They were a steel set from Germany, and we did use those tuning forks to tune ourselves in the Well of Souls, because that's one of the things that's needed in a gathering, is to tune each other with the forks and to tune yourself with your frequency. So that was in place there. The color and everything else came later, like around 99-ish. So Joe had started his beginning on researching tuning forks and finding out what's the best set to use. Steel forks are very accurate and they're very clean. However, with steel forks, just a little nick will change the frequency of the tuning fork. So it doesn't really leave for having a practice or using them on a daily basis. You want to be very careful with the steel forks. So he did some more research and he found that aluminum alloy is a little bit more durable than steel and can be just as accurate as steel. So he found several companies. There were 4 companies in the United States that made and manufactured tuning forks. However, all of them bought their material from out of the country, because we haven't made aluminum alloy and steel for a long time. So he had a bit of a, wanted to find out what's going on with tuning forks. He found a company that's been around since 1921. Their whole family's been involved in making tuning forks from way back, even before 1921. But that's all they do, is tuning forks. And they're accurate to 0.005 hertz, which is 1/5 of a hertz, which is extraordinarily close. That's as close as you can get with tuning forks. The only other way you can get that close is digitally. However, digitally is not as efficient as the tuning fork, because you have a speaker and a wire, or you have some sort of friction. Okay. So after Joe started doing a lot of research on tuning forks, he and a guy named Larry started doing some exploring to see where he can go with this. And the next fork in the repertoire that he came up with is the Genesis frequency. Now, they stumbled upon this because they were looking along the solfeggio scale. And it was apparently it was Larry's wife that discovered frequency.
Continuing intermittently until around 11
I have a Genesis fork, but it's not colored at the moment. So I had to pull a new one out because my Genesis fork kind of got missing. Anyhow, here's the Genesis fork, and it normally has a gold stripe on it. Okay. What we found with the Genesis fork is it is a sealing fork. It kind of seals the deal for you when you're doing any kind of tunings. When you tune your chakras, you want to follow it up immediately with the Genesis fork with a wash. And what that does is it seals up the chakra tuning. Before I forget, when's the best time to do a chakra tuning? At night, before you go to bed. Because when you tune your chakras before you go to bed, your body doesn't have time to knock itself out of alignment. Your body has time to sleep and rest, and the chakras will basically come into their alignment much easier and have time to stay in that alignment. So when you wake up, you'll actually feel refreshed. I've been doing that a couple of times this week, and I notice the nights that I do it, I get a better night's rest than when I don't do it. I'm going to start testing on Carol too, because she has difficult sleeping. She has restless leg syndrome, and she'll wake up sometimes and she can't go back to sleep. So we'll try those. We tried the energy fork with her and it works for a little while, but we're not there yet. We'll get to the energy fork in a little bit. So when you do this at night, you're allowing the frequency to permeate inside of your body and keep your body in alignment. Okay. Are there any questions as of yet?
So far, I understand it.
Okay.
Holy cow.
Dave,
Yes.
right, yeah, be sure to mention that the frequencies for these forks, even though there are a zillion of them out there on the internet, these frequencies, specific frequencies, were given by Michael. So these are the frequencies from the angelic realm.
Yes, yes. The forks, they are a standard harmonic system. However, there are some tweaks that were made in the name of being accurate. Michael helps out every once in a while. Talk about being helped out. So they were, after Joe started researching and doing the chakra forks and using those on a regular basis, Michael was talking about other frequencies. And so Joe started researching, and the solfeggio scale came up. The next fork they created, of course, was the Genesis frequency. Now, this particular fork has a frequency of 531 hertz. Okay. Now, 5, 3, and 1 equals 9. 9 is a completion number. So in numerology, this is a completion fork. So it makes total sense to go over the chakras after you tune them with the Genesis frequency to complete the cycle. Okay. So from what I understand, he was going to call it the Christ fork, but he didn't want any more blowback from other groups than he's already been getting. So he didn't really want to go that route with it. But it's an instrumental fork as to where it actually opens things up or it helps seal things off. But it also, it's rumored to the frequency is rumored to shatter cancer cells, help with your immune system, help with other ailments in your body. It's just a really good frequency to have around. The one chime I had made was of this frequency, so I could just ring it whenever I want. It's out in my shop, or I'd show it to you. It's been under stuff for a little while. I haven't been playing with it. Anyhow, I did pull it out the other day, and it still has the gold on it, and it still works. So, but I like the forks because they're portable. I could take this and roll it up and put it in my jacket or in a briefcase and carry it wherever I need to go. So the Genesis fork was the next one up in our repertoire. Now, from the Genesis fork, Joe started playing with the Sephiroth, okay, or the Tree of Life. So the next set that he had come up with is called the Tree of Life set. I think he should have named it the Sephiroth set, but I'm not sure. The Tree of Life set have different names, or the Tree of Life have names of the Malkuth and the Had and the Jasad. We'll get to that in a little while. But these forks here, they're a little bit smaller and they're a much higher pitch. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's two colors on there. Okay. So you have the color of the church or the angel representing that church, and then the color of that frequency or the angel. And then this particular one says Camael on it. It's probably backwards on there and the light's shining, so you really can't see. There we go. You can almost see it there. This is the Camael fork. So you have 7 angels that Michael introduced to Joe during this time. You have Camael, which is the Church of Smyrna. You have Zephkiel, who is the Church of Ephesus. Okay. And then you have Gabriel, who is as the Church of Pergamum. Then you have Raphael, who is as the Church of Sardis. And then you have Retziel, who is as the Church of Pergamum. Then you have Haniel, who is as the Church of Thyatira. And then you have Tezekiel, who is as the Church of Laodicea. Now, even though the forks have colors and tones and frequencies, the color doesn't necessarily represent the church. It has something to do with it. But over the years, we've had a habit of talking about people as a color. However, it's kind of erroneous because let's take, for instance, the Church of Smyrna, as we would call a red. Their counterpart in the angelic realm is the Laodicean church, which is violet. Oops. Violet, okay? However, one of the things I almost forgot, one of the things that Michael showed Joe to do before you do a tuning for someone else or even on yourself is to take the forks that are opposite of your gift, okay? In this particular instance, the red church or the red fork is representation of Smyrna. The blue fork is what you radiate. A Smyrna would radiate red and emanate blue in color. So you're working with two colors there. Then their helper angel or their helper church or the church where they truly stand would be Laodicea. So there, we have three colors we're dealing with. Not only that,
Ugh.
each one of the churches has a day of the week and a musical note. So for Smyrna, let's start with Monday. Okay, no, I take that back. Sunday. Sunday is the first day of the week. And then Tuesday or Monday would be Ephesus. Tuesday would be Pergamum. Wednesday would be Sardis. Thursday would be Philadelphia. Friday would be Thyatira. And then Saturday would be Laodicea. Okay? So I have a few things working here. Each one of those have helper angels, helper church, and then colors that they emanate and colors that they radiate. So you can't just be a orange, you can't just be a yellow, but you can be as the church of Laodicea, or as the church of Philadelphia, or as the church of Smyrna. Your likeness of. And when the reason why I say that is because when Joe finally figured out Michael and who he really was, he says, "You are him, aren't you?" And his answer was, "I have served our Lord as such." So take that for whatever that means. I don't know what deep-rooted meaning there is there, but they are as these things. The same with the forks. Okay. Have I got you guys? You're not confused yet? You are. I know you. But you're easy. You also don't follow instructions very well. You're not muted.
Me?
Yep.
Do I ever?
It would be good if you did.
I can't figure out how to mute it, or I would.
Okay. Let me push the
I'll
button.
mute my husband there.
Mute my husband. Okay. There you go. All right. So as we move from the chakra forks to the Genesis fork, which is the completion fork, we go into what we call the angel forks. Now, each of these forks have
Okay.
colors and names of the angels. Now, do we use these for our chakras? In a way. Do we use these for healing? Absolutely. What are the different things we can do with these forks? Well, for one, after you tune your chakras, you invite these frequencies into your chakras again in the same order. But what you're doing when you do that is you're infusing the vibration and frequency of that angel into that region of your body. Okay? So what does that mean to you? What you're doing is when I take this green tuning fork called Raphael and I strike it, I'm a trained professional, don't do that at home. You place this over the heart, and what I'm doing is I'm inviting Raphael into that chakra to do whatever it is Raphael does, okay? To either help sustain the chakra, open my heart to better, different concepts. There's a number of things going on when you tune your chakras with these. Now, does it tune your chakra? No, it infuses your chakras with the vibration and frequency of those angels. Okay. What else can I use these tuning forks for? Well, not only do we have the 7 angels in this particular set, here's another set. I hope I put away. Yeah. Those are not good. I realized that I didn't have any of the angel forks set up because I sold my last set. And I have a whole box here to paint, so I'll have those ready for the event. So these these extra tuning forks, as they call them, they're not really extra, they just go in line with what we're doing there. Anyhow, there are 4 what we call seraphim angel forks. Now you have the Michael, the Shekinah, the Metatron, and the Sandalphon. Those are the forks you would use on the outer chakras. So when you're tuning your chakras with the angel forks and you're tuning your outer chakras with the seraphim angel forks, you're again inviting those entities into that chakra region so that you can receive the benefits of their frequencies and vibrations. All the angels do are bring us gifts and guide us. They're constantly there for us. They can give warnings. They can give information. Sometimes they can interfere, not too much, but they're basically there to, help guide you and move you through the thing in life that you're going through. So the Tree of Life set was brought in after Joe started creating this thing called AccuTuning. I'm not going to get into AccuTuning a whole lot because that's a whole 2 or 3 hour conversation with meridian lines and, different sides of it. There's 7, numbers and all kinds of cool stuff. I don't want to go in on a tangent on that one. But these forks are also used for AccuTuning. So with the AccuTuning 1, you have to use several of the chakra forks to do AccuTuning 1. When AccuTuning 2 came out, it was with the Tree of Life forks. Then you would use less forks, okay? It's hard to hold 3 or 4 forks at a time. So you would have to strike 2 at a time, put it on the meridian, strike another fork and whatever else and put it on the meridian. This one alleviated the use of those. They also aid tremendously in a process that came out during that time called angelic armor, okay, or angel armor. And at first, some thought that it was an armor that you were going to put on and go do battle with, but that's not the case. What you're doing with an angel armor is you're removing the blockages that you've placed on yourself, and it's actually working against you. The protections that you've put on yourself are actually not working for you to protect you. It's keeping you from being in your giftedness, learning, a multitude of things. It's so with the angelic armor, each region, there's 7 regions on the body, and each angel comes in and removes the blockages from those areas when you use the tuning forks and a lot of oil. So that's a whole different process. That'll be in, I will be going over the process of Angel Armor when I do Angel Teachings 2. I have Angel Teachings 1, 2, and 3. And they're really cool classes that I've been working on over the last few years and have put a lot of things together there. So we'll go over that at the end of the talk here. I'll talk about that, and you guys can see if you want to have me out to your town or city and teach this stuff. So with the angel forks, they all have the name of the angel and generally two colors. Okay. Now the color is because not only are you using frequency, sound, and light, but you get the color, and the benefit of the color creates a frequency. Haven't quite figured out what those things actually are. We're getting there. The more we start using these forks, the more we're going to learn about what they do and how to use them. They also, some of the forks have oils that go with them too. We'll get into the oils after about another 25 minutes or so. We'll get into oils because we have a lot more forks to go over. So any questions about the Tree of Life set? I don't see any hands. Okay, cool. I see a hand in the back? No? Okay. Just joking. All right. So, one of the things that happened during the journey of discovering these tuning forks, because Michael was going to give Joe frequencies at one point in time. However, Joe kind of hit the fast forward button working with Larry and his wife when they were working on the frequencies. There was a secession that was happening. First, they came up with the Tree of Life forks, which is actually along the Sephiroth scale. Then Michael had come in and says, "Hey, you've stumbled upon some frequencies before your time, but since you're here, let us help you out with it." It wasn't like they admonished him or anything like that. He's just like, "Dude, you're putting the calf before the bag again, or letting the cat out of the bag." They say calf instead of cat. And it really wasn't that big of a faux pas because they're definitely going to benefit us down the line. And we had kind of a jump start on what they were doing. However, I certainly would have liked to have them tell us what to do to make them, because there's a lot more information they give when they do that. But now we were there to muddle through and figure out what was going on with the forks. And we did. We played with them a lot. And that's what Michael said. Play with them. See what they do. Use them on yourselves. Use them on your friends. Use them on your family. I like to use them on myself. They're really fun. And they sound cool too. So once they came out with the Tree of Life frequencies, then they stumbled upon something else. And it is along the solfeggio scale. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, not Sephiroth scale. I meant to say solfeggio scale is the Tree of Life. And then the Sephiroth forks move deeper into the solfeggio scale. There's 11 forks in the Sephiroth set, and each one of them have a name of one of the spheres in the Tree of Life. Something really cool we learned about these a few years ago, the spheres. We were given information on each of the spheres and what they do. And each of them, I got a little cheater over here. Life, Sephiroth. There we go. Each one of these Sephiroth tuning forks are tuned to the frequency of each of the spheres in the Tree of Life. There's a series, it looks like if you've ever studied any Jewish or Kabbalah or anything like that, you've seen the Tree of Life. If you've been to the event and taken the formation, we probably put you in a Tree of Life or a gate. So they kind of go together. And when we brought the Metatron back to acknowledge the Shekinah, we did this thing called a generator. It's called, well, it was a grace generator where we combined the tree of life into the gate of grace. And the gate of grace actually sits at the top of the tree of life, and the tree of life flows out from the gate of grace. It's kind of cool. So each of these particular forks has a lot more behind them than just face value. Now, these Sephiroth forks that I'm talking about, they have a name, they have a color, and they have a frequency. However, we're not tuning the chakras with these. These were mainly made for AccuTuning 3, to where you will get down to maybe one fork instead of 2 or 3 forks. Okay. Really cool, very effective. When you're doing AccuTuning, you open up the meridian. Let's say there's a meridian point right here, which there is. And you take the fork and you place it on there. You're opening up the frequency. Then you place the corresponding oil, and that keeps the frequency open. So what you're doing with AccuTuning, rather than alleviating the chi, which is very helpful, by the way, they've been doing it for over 6,000 years, you're tuning the meridian back to the proper frequency. Joe had a lot of help making AccuTune. Don't want to turn this into an AccuTuning conversation because that'll go on all night. Back to the Sephiroth tuning forks. These ones are used in AccuTuning. However, there's something really cool about these forks that I'll get to right after I start talking about the forks, okay? The Keter. This sphere is known as the crown, being the will of God and the spirit of God. You should be cautioned that although each Sephiroth is a path to God, it is not the same as God. Now, the Keter is associated with the Metatron. Its color is white. The attribute is true perception. The gland is the pineal, which is right in the 4 corners there. And then the tuning points, they have tuning points as well. Each of these have a tuning point where you tune parts of your body to become one with the frequencies of the Sephiroth forks. Really cool thing, okay? I'm not going to read every single one of them. I'm going to give you a general description of what they are, okay? The Chokmah is related to wisdom, okay? Its angel is Ratziel, colors light blue. Their attributes is conscious control. Some of these things we want, most definitely we want in our lives. The gland is the pituitary gland, which is, I believe it's right in there with the pineal. They also have oils that are associated. So the Christ oil would be associated with the chunk. This is going to get kind of confusing. So if you want to write stuff down, go ahead. Plus, I'm recording this, and I might have a private link to it for you after the thing. The Binah, this one holds understanding. Okay. Now, why would you want that? Obvious reasons. The angel it's associated with is Zephkiel, which is the angel of Ephesus. And she's this beautiful Polynesian looking thing that's always moving around and dancing and stuff because they're fun. Anyhow, their attribute is insightful awareness. Just so happens that the Ephesian church happens to be very aware. They're very good at sales. They become aware of you through conversation, and they can help lead you wherever you need to go, or buy whatever you need to buy, or heal whatever you need to heal. As you start hearing this, you'll notice that some of these attributes and uses of the forks, they all have them, but they have them at various degrees. So this is why they go together, okay? Going down, it's the next one in the next sphere is Chisad, which is mercy. Okay, we all need that. We need more right now. So let's send a Chisad somewhere. Anyhow, the angel is Zedkiel, Tezekiel. I say that one kind of. It's Tzadqiel. There's no U. So Tzadkiel. It's hard to say for me. Their color is white and silver, and their attribute is greatness. Okay. Because you are great. And that's what you deserve in your life, is to have an acknowledgement and notice the greatness that you are. Because if you notice, anything that the angels have given us talks about how wondrous you are, how great you are. And these forks will back that up as well. Bringing in the frequencies that you need to help that understanding. Okay. So moving from the Chasad, we go to the Gevura. Now, the Gevura fork is known as judgment. Not judging someone else, judging your actions, judging your attitude, judging your abilities, judging your way of life. And not in a way of admonishment, but in, having good judgment. Noticing, like if you want to jump across a puddle, you need good judgment to get across that puddle. If you have a lack in judgment, you're going to land in the puddle. So that's what they mean about this kind of judgment. Okay. It's not you did this, this, and this, and blah. People do that anyway. They told not to do it, but we're going to do it. We're conditioned. So anyhow, that's the Gevura fork. Camiel is the angel of this fork, and Camiel is of the Church of Smyrna. And Church of Smyrna is really kind. These people are really nice people. Yes, they're in charge. Yes, when they say something, you want to listen to them. But really, their alternative plan is for everybody to win. They just want everybody to be the greatest they are. And that holds true with all of the churches. And their attribute is power. So that's why some folks may get intimidated by a Smyrnan, because their presence, and they're powerful people. Some of them are so powerful, they're really quiet. And you don't want to awaken that one sometimes, because there's consequence. Anyhow, moving down to the Tepheret, this sphere is about beauty. Okay. And not just physical beauty, not just admiring the flower beauty, but the beauty through the spoken word or the written word or the song, the dance, the music, everything. All things have beauty if you take the time to look at it. Michael said, what did he say about, he says, people are only ugly to those who view them that way. Which kind of makes sense. The angel is Michael, and the attribute is wholeness. The color is purple and yellow. The gland is the spleen. So these help with all kinds of different things. Okay. When you start going down the path of healing, you're going to start running into things that you'll find familiar, and you'll find that, oh, we can tune this. Let's tune this and see what happens. Okay. The Netzich, I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Kabbalist would correct me. This one has to do with eternity. Okay. So eternity, not only being a long, long time, it is eternity. It's eternal. It never stops. Like you are eternity. When you were created, you were created as an eternity. You were complete. You're never going to go away. Your vibration will always be it. Now, you may come to Earth and be in this meat shell and, have whatever gifts and attributes you have, but your self, your self, your inner self is always going to exist, whether you think so or not. People die, but they don't stop existing. One way they exist is in your heart, the memories you have of them, or in your mind, or in, your loss. But people continue to exist here as well as there. I just experienced this. Wasn't my favorite experience, though. My best buddy left. Moving down from the Netzich. Oh, that was Haniel. talked about creation. The color's light pink and the gland is the adrenal glands. Don't ask me to point out those because I need a chart. The next one is the Hod, and this sphere is of glory. Okay. So what do they mean by glory? Well, you are the glory of God. You are God's child. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way you are. And you are glorious. One of the things that we're trained not to acknowledge in our lives is this: you are glorious. So anytime somebody tells you that you're less than or any of that other stuff, ignore them because they're lying to you. You really are quite awesome. The angel is Raphael. The color is dark pink, and the attribute is splendor. So all of these things they mold together, they flow together, and it starts to make sense to you, whether it's internally or you can physically see it. You start comprehending things as you go through this. Yesod, moving downward to the Yesod. This sphere is known as the foundation. And as the foundation, it's a place to build upon, okay? And that's your life. You build your life from this space. And the angel that is associated with it is Gabriel. Okay, so Gabriel is kind of like the map maker guy. He kind of points you in the right direction. You can, if you are of the Church of Pergamum, they're particularly good at figuring things out and making maps. But you also have those attributes within you. So these things help accentuate the gifts and attributes that you naturally carry. You may not be of that vibration, however, you have those vibrations within your grasp, your reach. Okay. Moving onward. The attribute is purified intelligence, and the gland is the appendix. Okay. So don't get rid of your appendix. Kidding. Some folks have to. And the Malkuth. Okay. The Malkuth is known as the kingdom. Okay. And they're talking about the kingdom within. You are a king or a queen in the eyes of creation because you have all of this to glory from, to behold, and to be responsible for. Each of us have our different lives, but we have different responsibilities that come with those lives. Anyhow. The kingdom. The angel is Sandalphon. Now, Sandalphon is a very interesting angel. He's like the loftiest of all angels. Joanne Macco had an opportunity to meet with this angel many years ago, back in 2002. And that's when he gave her his oil to make. And she said he was really big and quite stunning to look at. Dark purple robe, huge angel, like 30 feet tall, 15 feet wide. And they call him Sandalphon because he has a thing for sandals. Anyhow, he carries your prayers to God. That's his main function. Also assists in meditation and grounding into the tree of life. Okay, so and let's see, the Sandalphon, the color is gold, and the attribute is manifestation. And the gland is testes. So it's either ovaries or testes, depending on the gender of the person. So, and then, yeah, the Sandalphon oil is associated as well. Okay, and that one you only use on the feet. Last but not least, and this will open up the way for the next part of this conversation that's the most interesting part to me. And I think it would be most valuable to you, okay? The Da'ath, the tree behind the tree, the sphere behind the sphere, okay? So they always talk about two trees, okay? You have the one you could see, and then there's a tree behind the tree, okay? Your physical body is the tree. Your spirit is the tree behind the tree. Little hint there, okay? The Da'ath is known as knowledge. And in the Da'ath is where all things are created. All things will come to be out of the Da'ath. And it's the hidden part of the tree of life, but it's the gateway to the tree of life, and it's invisible. It's in this sphere where you can hold empty space where creation begins. Now, the angel, Shekinah, the color is silver and clear. The attribute is the voice of the Shekinah, and the gland is the ovaries. Okay, so I got that one mixed up. So these glands. So we'll figure that out later. The Shekinah is the oil. Now, back in 2017, in the Colorado Springs event, everybody was given a little bottle of oil called the Daw. And then there were 4 or 5 gatekeepers present at that event. Excuse me. I'm one of the gatekeepers. And basically, what makes me a gatekeeper is I took the class to help get my frequencies to the point to where I can allow you into the Daw. And what happens is we take the Daw fork. Just saw you. My original. This one has this one has a longer fork on it, so I can, just go along and tune people in. Okay, so if you were at that event or any events afterwards, you were tuned into the Daw. You only need to be tuned in one time. What that allows you to do is to be able to tune into all of the other spheres. Okay, so let's say you want to work on something. You go along the list of the spheres that you want to work on wisdom, you go into Chokmah. You want to work on understanding, you go into Binah. You want to work on mercy, go into Chesed. You want to work on judgment, you go into Gevurah. Okay, and how that's done, again, don't do this at home, kids. I'm a trained professional. Is you take the tuning fork after you've been tuned in, and you go down, up, around, and down. It's a keyway. It's a combination. It's like it's exactly a combination to getting into these spheres. You use each one of these forks in the same fashion that you would the Daw fork to get yourself into that sphere. Now, there were instructions given to you when you got tuned into the Daw. There are some rules that go along with this because you're going into a place of creation, and the beings that are in this space are busy doing something for the universe, and they're not to be tampered with. And if you do by chance walk up and start talking to them, the only thing you're going to get out of them is they're annoyed. That's it. They will be annoyed with you. They won't get mean with you or anything like that, but they will definitely get annoyed and probably not talk to you again. So if you do go into the Daw, the 2 things that you want to do is you want to observe, look around, see what's going on, and absorb. The energy that they're creating in the Daw is that of creation, so that you can create with that energy. So you're absorbing this energy like a sponge. You're only hanging out in the Daw for a short period of time, 10 minutes tops. You don't want to hang out there much longer. Don't ask me why. I don't know. All I know is you don't want to hang out longer than about 10 minutes because you may run into a character by the name of, hang on a second.
Starts with an E.
Yeah,
Ekinor.
Ekinor. Thank you, Diane. I knew you were going to chime in on that. Ekinor is the guy that runs the place. Okay. So he may come up to you and ask you what you're doing there. And you just tell him, I'm here to observe and absorb. Once they start getting used to you, they'll start interacting with you. But they need to get used to you being in their space. Okay. And that's why you want to go into the Daw as often as you can. Not only to observe and absorb that creative energy, but also to be involved in some way, shape, or form. Because what is it that the gathered masters are doing? We are creating a new Eden for our earth. Okay. We're still in Eden. However, we've left that consciousness. So it needs to be recreated. And this is how we do it, through learning how to tune our frequencies and how to tune our meridian lines, our chakras, our lymph nodes, our glands, everything. So when you go into, let's say, the Chasad, you're going into the Chasad for whatever that is. I shut the door. I should memorize this, which I'm pretty close to doing. Mercy. See, have mercy on me. I'm going into the Chasad. Anyhow, here's the cool thing about the other spheres. The observe and absorb and don't talk to anybody thing goes out the window. You can go in to the Chasad for mercy, tune yourself in. Kind of cool. Get kind of a weird feeling. But there, when you step into the sphere, forgot, when you tune yourself into the Da'at, you need to create a bubble or a sphere. We talk about a bubble, and you want to make it big, and as big that you can walk into. Once it's as big, the size of a sphere that you can walk into, or a bubble, you walk into it, and then you observe and absorb. Same thing goes with each of the spheres of these Sephiroth. The spheres of the tree of life. You want to go into the Chasad, you tune yourself in, you create the ball, and you go into it. Okay. Each ball is going to have a different color to it, by the way, and have a different experience when you go into those things. So each of those is important. Now, if you've been to the event in the last going on 7 years, 8 years, we were gifted, each of us were gifted an angel. Okay. We did a process to where the angel came into your body and you can communicate with this angel. However, it's up to you to learn how to communicate with that angel. One of the things that we came up with, excuse me, not used to talking this much these days. One of the things we came up with was going through and since folks were having a hard time getting into the Da'at, we said, hey, maybe what if we went into each of the spheres of the tree of life and then go into the Da'at? And Michael said that would be very helpful and very wise. So that's something we would recommend that you do if you're having trouble getting into the Da'at, is go into all the other spheres too. Okay. And then during this time that you're in these spheres, you can call upon your angel, and your angel may appear, may or may not appear to you in there. You can meet your angel in the Da'at for sure. However, you need to become proficient in going into the Da'at. Okay. There are other forks that Joe came up with. They're called the Tree of Light, or no, the Psychic set. Okay. That I'm going to kind of let you guys look at the website and figure out on your own if that's something you want to deal with. He's got the PSI fork, which helps with your psychic abilities. He's got your total knowing fork, which helps with epiphanies and realizations and figuring things out. You have your astral mental fork, which helps you with meditation and astral projection. You can leave your body with this fork. It also has the Kundalini fork, which helps you with Kundalini energy, which is sexual energy. All energy is energy is energy. However, this resides in that creation area. So the Kundalini energy is really cool. It helps out with meditation and helps out with training your body in different ways to accept other frequencies. And it's also the energy that is used when they give Shakti. The Shakti blessing is Kundalini energy. Okay, so there's that. Then we have the O3 fork, which is something that Joe came up with. There you are. O3 fork. This guy here is about 78.3 hertz, and it's at the frequency of ozone. So when you're doing cosmic lightning, for those of you that don't know what cosmic lightning is, it's a hydrogen peroxide liquid that has been cut down to about 9%, and you use drops of it at first, and you get your body acclimated to it, and you start using more and more drops each day. And what it does is it superhydrates and oxygenates your body. Now, if you have a bacteria or a virus or something going on and you need to get rid of it quick, you take the cosmic lightning stuff, use the O3 fork wherever it is that you need to have the ozone go. Ozone or oxygen is very lethal to any virus, and cancer is a virus. AIDS is a virus. Okay. So those two items there won't last long with ozone and cosmic lightning. I make the cosmic lightning as well. So that's available. There is also the ohm for, let me go one more. I missed one. The 7 names of God forks. I know I'm running a little over in time, but I went into more detail on the spheres than I had planned on before. But I find it to be important that you know what the spheres are and possibly consider going in them. The 7 names of God fork. Okay, Sri Ram, Elohim, Buddha, Yahweh, Ahura Mazda, Allah, and El Shaddai. Okay. So these forks came at a time when we were doing this thing called the wholeness blessing. Now, Joe was told to make these forks and accommodating oils that go along with these forks, because each fork has an oil with its name on it. Joe makes these oils, and Michael shows up with a band of angels again, and they start taking tuning forks, and he's got the oils, and they said, "Come with me," and they went down this path. And at the end of the path was this thing called the Metatron tent. This was like the 3rd or 4th time he's been there. He doesn't get to go there very often. One time he went there and he was told not to speak, and he said, "But," and he was back in his living room before he could say anyhow. So you kind of want to follow these guys' instructions if they take you anywhere and do stuff. Don't speak if they tell you not to speak. So anyhow, during the time they were tuning the forks and the oils, Joe was outside the tent getting worked over. He said he felt like snakes were going through his body. And then he started coughing so much that phlegm was coming out, and he was on all fours, and he thought he was going to die. And as soon as the phlegm was hitting the ground, it would disappear. And he thought to himself, I remember this being kind of funny. What happens if you die in heaven? Where do you go? It's a good question. Probably to heaven. So anyhow, the pain and everything subsided. He said it felt like a bunch of little snakes were running through his body. He stood up and got his breath, and then Michael showed up and says it is done. And he says, "Wait a minute, I don't know if you know what happened here, but it felt like I was going to lose a lung and I was going to die right here." And he says, "As it should have been." And he said, "Behold," and he showed him a mirror, and Joe looked 35 years old. And he says, "I could do that." He liked the idea of looking that way. However, he didn't look that way, and there were conditions to continue looking. They made their way back to Joe's I guess it's his office. It used to be a living room or a dining room, but he turned it into an office. And they show up back there, and he looks in the mirror in the window, and he could see his reflection. He looked like regular old Joe. And he was told that he needs to find his counterpart to help aid his insides with catching up with his outsides. Unfortunately, that hasn't materialized in the last few years, so Joe looks like he's aging a little bit. But he gave us a way to give this wholeness blessing so that we can make each other whole and we could start reversing the aging process. And I say we continue to do that process, even though, we don't follow exactly to the T what Michael gives us. We still have redemption. We still have things that we can still do in lieu of us not being able to follow instruction. Okay? Somebody's chatting. What are they saying? Got it. All right, cool. So along with these forks came a couple of processes. One, you can tune your pineal and pituitary gland. Okay. You place the forks on your brain. One fork goes on either side, and there's a specific regimen that you do that in. Then you take the 7 names of God oils and you place them on different parts of your chest and your head. And that tunes the pituitary gland. Okay. Tunes your brain basically. And then there's a tuning that you do when you're going to get to receive the wholeness blessing in such a way that you can give it to someone, pass it along to someone else. Because the first part of when we first got the wholeness blessing, Joe was the only one that can give it out. So he wanted to make it so everybody can get it and give it out. So then we came up with this facilitators training where people can learn how to do that, to stand as Joe and pass this thing in such a way that, let's say you come to me and you've never gotten the wholeness blessing and you want to be able to give the wholeness blessing. I can give it to you in such a way that you can pass it on to another. And there's a process that you use these tuning forks in order to do that. Okay. You can also use these tuning forks on the chakras. What you're doing with these, you're not tuning the chakras. You do it very similarly to the chakra tuning, but you're placing the 7 names of God frequencies into your chakras, which essentially goes into your whole beingness. Okay. All right. Any questions on the 7 names of God forks? I don't see any hands going up. Okay. If you have a question, just unmute and ask your question. Or Dave, I got a question. Okay. All right. Cool.
Dave, I got a question.
Yes, Cindy.
What book do we find that the different spheres or the different churches? What book is that in?
It's not in a book. It's in a manual. It's in the tuning fork manual.
Oh, the main one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's like, I don't know how much these things are. Like 25, $35, something like that.
And another
It's on my
modality.
website.
Yeah. Another modality, each meridian has its own color, its own tone, and its own taste. Would that be the same thing as this?
I don't know. Depends on what modality you're talking about.
Shinjitsu.
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the first thing about Shinjitsu.
Okay.
I don't even know how to pronounce it properly.
Oh, neither
would
do I.
Suspect that there may be a correlation. Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't know. Because, we're all being filled up with God's love. We are all children of God. I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is loved equally by the universe, and everybody has these things available. And every once in a while, people stumble upon things that are quite beneficial to everybody else. So I would not doubt that there may be some correlations with this,
Mm-hmm.
or similarities.
Oh, okay.
Just because it's similar doesn't mean it's the same. The things that we're getting from Michael and the angels, Joe just writes it down and gives it out to us. And then it's up to us, the masters, to do something with it. So if you don't do anything with it, don't expect to get anything out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah, you have to pick up the forks and use them in order for them to be beneficial. And it's not a one and done thing either. This is a practice. It's a continuation. You're not going to use the oils just once. You're not going to use the forks just once. You're not going to just go to one Eden event or Children of Light event. You're not going to do just one gathering if you choose to do gatherings. You can do 7. You could do a lot. In the beginning, we were only able to do 4, and we've raised the frequencies of the planets in such a way that we can do 7 now. The gathering is really fun. Not talking about that today, though. I will talk about that on other videos, and those are coming up soon. Okay. There's a few other forks that Joe has created over the years. There's one called the Omega frequency. That was done at an event, 2018. It helps with all of the forks. What it does is it binds everything together with the oils. The first time I used it on my mother, I came home from that event and I tuned her chakras, and then I did the Genesis fork, and then I used the Omega just for giggles and laughs to see what would happen. And she says, "Oh, what oil are you putting on me?" And I says, "There's no oil, honey. I haven't pulled any out." She says, "Well, I smell flowers." So anyhow, there's different things that can happen. One that I didn't speak about yet is the nerve fork, one of the more beneficial healing forks that we have. It's really big. It's 50 hertz, and it sounds like a kitty's purr because it's the same frequency as a cat's purr. A cat purrs at 50 hertz. Actually, in captivity, a cat purrs between 20 and 50 hertz. Cats in the wild, believe it or not, vibrate between 20 and 78 hertz. So that's closer to ozone. But doctors say if you have broken bones, put a cat in the room and the bones will heal. They're very good at healing things. You'll notice your cat, if you're a cat person and not allergic to them like some folks, your cat comes to you when you're not feeling good, maybe cramping, or you got a sore something somewhere, or a headache, or you're just not feeling up to par. Your cat will come and purr on you, and that 50 hertz fires the endorphins in your brain to send stuff into the areas that it's needed, because frequency just follows frequency. Then what other fork was I missing? He also created the 222, 333, and 444 forks for some processes that we have. I will be offering those again. I noticed that I don't have them in my repertoire. I just bought the store from Joe, and I got a list of everything, and a list of the oils and how to make those and all that other good stuff. So I'll be adding a few more things to the store as we go along, and I start really digging in and seeing what it is that we have here. One of the other little items that Joe had created is called the Meridian forks. And this is a series of 3 forks that are tuned to most of the meridians. I'm learning how to use these. This is fairly new to me. Joe came up with these just, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 years ago. I never really got into them, but now I am into them. But this will knock it down to where you can use one of these forks for the meridians. And then these, along with the Genesis frequency, is what you would need. So anyhow, the use of them is by the colors on the stems. And I'll learn more about that in the coming weeks. I know a lot. I don't know everything. But once I do learn it, I will remember it and be able to share it with everybody. There's also the Ohm fork. Now, the Ohm fork that Joe created is not the same Ohm fork that you can go out and buy at a metaphysical bookstore, because a lot of these metaphysical stores have Ohm forks and they're not the same frequency. Michael gave him a specific frequency to make it at. Off the top of my head, I don't know that information. I have it written down somewhere. However, it's not sitting in front of me. Okay, so I'm going a little bit over on the forks. So I'm going to run through the oils. Essential oils have been used in healing for millennia, ages. The first ones that we became aware of that were masters of oils was the Egyptians. They still make the best sesame oil on the planet. A lot of essential oils come from India, or as Joe would say, India. Why he says it that way, because that's how Alexander would say it. Back in the day when the physicians of the time would come to your home and heal you, they would carry along with them something that looked like a 6-pack of beer. Okay. And there's different bottles. And they would do different things and help heal you with these essential oils. Now, essential oils have a frequency, okay? And there's a range span. The highest vibration or highest vibrating oil is rose. Rose oil is the highest vibration, somewhere around 235 to 238 hertz. Okay, and that's HZ, not HTZ. The oils they gave us are in combinations that we can use them in such a way to help raise our frequency to catch up with what we're doing with the tuning forks and sustain it. The first oils that we were given were the oils of the 7 churches. And these oils, there we go. And these oils are color coded just like the tuning forks. You have Smyrna, Ephesus, Pergamum, Sardis, Thyatira, or Philadelphia, Thyatira, and Laodicea. Okay. Now you guys should be able to rattle this off like I'm rattling it off if you've been around here for very long. So if you can't say the 7 churches without looking in a book, memorize them. It'll benefit you later. Okay. So each of these oils are a blend of other essential oils. And now the 7 church oils are very high frequencies. However, they have a carrier oil. So there is a lifespan to them. So if your oils are more than 2 years old, it's time to change them because the carrier oil only lasts for about a year, maybe a year and a half, unless you have some laminar crystals to help keep them charged. They do go bad after about a year, maybe 2 years tops. Okay. The Seraphim angel ones, the Shekinah, Metatron, Christ, Sandalphon, Gabriel oils last a little longer, maybe 2.5 years ish. But they do go rancid after a little while, and you do need to refresh them. Hopefully, you're not going to let your oils last that long. You're going to put them on your body and use them and get it, and reorder as you need it. So each of these oils come with either a process or a blessing. Now, the 7 church oils, the Smyrna through Laodicea, the first process that you can do with them is a 7-day anointing. Now, over the years, we've been given lots of different oils. I'm going to mention this one now because later on, we're going to talk about it again. But the Novus Invictus oil helps in this process. If you put the Novus Invictus oil on your temples before you do any of the oils of the process, it really moves it efficiently. Okay. You start being able to absorb these things in a different fashion, more efficient fashion. Now, when it comes to the church oils, the rule of 3 applies, okay, only with the church oils. Because they're such high frequency, if you're going to use more than 3 church oils in a sitting, you want to use Michael's oil first. Michael's oil vibrates between 50 and an incomprehensible amount of hertz, okay? So we don't know the number that it vibrates at. The 7 church oils each have their own frequencies, and they range between the low hundreds and the mid hundreds, anywhere from 175 hertz to 375 hertz. They range depending on which one you're using and depending on which application you're using it for. And by the way, they all smell really good. really good. When I got the oils here delivered to the house, it's changed the frequency of the house and the smell of the house. It's beautiful in here. So each oil has its own thing. So the tuning on or the process I'm going to talk about now is called the 7-day anointing process. And you want to do this process, okay? And it's not a one and done process, much like all of the processes that we do. You use starting with the Church of Smyrna on Sunday, you use Smyrna, and on Monday you use Ephesus. Tuesday you use Pergamum. Wednesday and so on and so forth down the line. In the sake of time, I'll let you guys figure out that order. Plus, you'll learn some. What you're doing is you place these oils on specific parts of your body because each of them, like let's take the oil of Smyrna. You apply it with the right little finger to bring health to the physical and to make you strong in that which you do. You apply to the third eye, the base of the spine, and on the instep of the heels of both feet. Okay, and it reflects as a part of the body. So what you're doing there is you're allowing that frequency to encompass your body. Then the next day you do the other oil. The next day you do the other oil. And on the 7th day you're finished, but not for long. You can do it again in 40 calendar days. So you want to do this about every 40 days. What's happening when you use these oils, they're teaching you, they're allowing you to, they're opening up things that you have closed down that you need opened up. They're giving you hints where you weren't noticing before. It opens your awareness, it opens your sight, it opens your clarity. Very important process to do every 40 days. The church oils happen to be the least expensive of all the oils that we carry, with the exception of the stem cell. It's only $15 for a 5 ml bottle of this stuff. All of the other oils are a little more expensive because they're pure, high quality, very pure oils, and some of them are quite expensive. And then the processes, because they're made with a blessing, they're set to rest with a blessing, and then they're received with a blessing. And then when you use them, each of the oils have a blessing with the exception of the 7 church oils. There's no blessing needed to say. You just place the oils on the spots that they specify that you place them. Moving from the church oils to the seraphim, as I call them, the seraphim oils, the Michael, Metatron, Shekinah, Christ, Sandalphon, and then we also have a Gabriel. The Michael's oil opens the way for all things. The Shekinah's oil is that of creation, okay? The Shekinah oil is used with the left thumb. You place it on your temples, the third eye, and your crown, and you use it while sitting, and you say, as a child of God, standing in God's love, no, wait a minute. As a child of God, wrapped in God's love, I stand before you to be created anew. Okay? While sitting. Anyhow, this oil helps you with manifestation. Let me get to that one so I'm not being erroneous in what I'm telling you. Double check ski. Gotta double check the professor once in a while. Michael, how come she's not up? All right. Hey, I was right. As a child of God, I stand before you to be created. All right. Okay, so this stuff calms you down. The Shekinah oil, there's more than one use for all of these oils. Mike, let's go back to Michael for just a second. Michael is the opening one. It's used for all kinds of different things. Since it starts at 50 hertz, we use it for a lot of pain. You can put it in a bath. You put 2 or 3 drops in a bath. You want to bless the water in the bath, and then you say the blessing for the oil in the bath, and you can get in. You can also do it with a glass of water. I recommend 1 drop. Don't use 2. This stuff is nasty. Ugh, doesn't taste good at all. You can drink that as well. Drinking it is very beneficial for your interior body. Okay. So the Michael is an all-around healing oil. The Shekinah is more for manifestation. It's truly the healing oil of the oils. Shekinah is like the mother of all the feminine, the divine feminine, the Kuan Yin of the group. She's a total yes person being, totally yes, always yes. Sometimes, very rarely, just like mom, she says no. Um, but this oil is used to heal the physical, the mental, emotional areas of the body. Okay. So a lot of folks use them for menstrual cramps, for headaches, for body aches, for muscle aches. Um, I use it mostly for calming down. I smell it a lot when I'm getting a little too over anxious, overzealous, or anything like that. I take the Shekinah oil, give it a good sniff, and place it around the body somewhere. And it chills me out. And I've heard other people say that it does that too. You can also take a little bit of the oil and place it on your wrists for the calming effect. Um, Plus, you'll smell really good because this is one of the better smelling oils. Michael smells really good too. Um, the Metatron oil. This one is for communication and prayer. Okay. It's done with the right thumb. You place it on the earlobes, third eye, and you say, as a child of God, I open my ears that I may hear the love God has for me. Okay. So this one goes along with praying. Real quick, I'm going to teach you how to pray. You may already know how to do this, but this is the way Michael taught Joe how to pray. When you pray, you don't get on your knees and bow your head or anything like that. You open up your arms and you just start talking. Hey, God, buddy, pal, whatever. Hey, God, or G, or whatever you want to call it, just start talking. Tell them what's going on. Ask your questions, ask for your clarity, have a complaint department thing going or a praise department thing going. Let me give you a little bit of a hint here when it comes to creating. When you want to create something, become grateful about everything. And I mean everything. Grateful for all the things that you are obviously grateful for, but also the things in your life that you don't desire in your life. Become grateful for it. Become grateful for the people in your life that you don't desire in your life. Become grateful for it. The things in your life, the bills, the having to work, the problems that you come up with, the problems you're having in your relationship, problems you have with yourself. Become grateful for it because out of this gratuity, you're opening something up. When you become grateful, the universe responds quickly. Okay. So when you're speaking to God and you have your arms open and you're talking and you're praying to God, like I said before, don't get on your knees. Don't bow your head. You're not a subservient anything. You're a child of God. And the best instruction that we got when Joe taught us this was Gabrielle just walked right up to him and started talking. And he says, that's how you do it. You just start talking. Okay. You want to go somewhere quiet, somewhere alone, and just start talking. Now, when you're done speaking to God and done praying, bring your hands up. What you're doing is you're reflecting the light into your ears. And then you do this real simple thing that nobody ever does. It's shut up, stop talking, stop thinking, and listen. And then you can hear whatever it is that God's giving. Take some practice, okay? So that oil is one of the oils to help with prayer as well. You open up your ears that you may hear the love God has for you, okay? Metatron's oil is also good in a bath for body aches. It is really good with migraine headaches. My stepdaughter gets migraine headaches and gave it to her and gone. My sister-in-law gets migraine headaches all the time. They go through a lot of Metatron oil. She just takes a little drop and places it wherever it hurts. And, it seems to just sort of lift it off and go away. Michael has some of the same results. You can mix and match too. So if you want to mix some Shekinah and Metatron, you can do that. If you want to mix some Michael and Shekinah and Metatron, you can do that. Okay, next oil on the list is Christ oil. This is a cool oil, one of my favorite oils. It smells really good. I'm gonna let my dog out real quick. Come on, buddy. There you go. Go get those squirrels, buddy. All right. I need a new hat. The Christ oil, it smells incredible. It is one of the most fragrant oil. All of them, I'm kind of partial. I love the smell of all these oils. This particular oil is for your consciousness, for your heart, for your mind. It opens your mind to greater concepts that you may be open, loving, and generous, just like Yeshua or Jesus was said to be. The use of this oil is you place it on the palms. You place a drop here and you place a drop here, okay? And then you place it on your skin, obviously. You do this. Take off my hat. Then it'll get shiny. See? All right. And you say, as a child of God, I open my heart and my mind to the Christ consciousness and all that I may live in the same light. And that's it. Then you smell really good for a while, and your heart starts opening to greater concepts. And what this does is it helps you to allow yourself to receive these frequencies as they're coming in, because you're constantly being filled up with God's love for you. However, we've blocked all of that off somehow in some way. And these oils open up those avenues so that you can receive these loving vibrations, that you may put those loving vibrations back out. Okay. And these things really do work, but the only way they work is if you use them. Okay. Next oil up on our list is the Sandalphon's oil. Now, this one here is not a healing oil. This oil is used to bind the sevens to the tree of life. So after you get gathered, what happens is your servant will give you a drop of this oil and you'll place it on your tailbone. And first you bless the oil. Then you say some things. And this one here is, it says, anointing for the tree of life. Each master will bless this oil before using it by saying, I, and your name, as a servant of God, I bless this oil of the Sandalphon that it may bind me to the tree of life. And then using the right pointer finger, place a drop on the crown and at the base chakra on your tailbone while saying the blessing. If this oil is given as a gift, bless it like this. As a servant of God, I bless this oil of the Sandalphon for whoever's name, that they may grow in spirit. So it can be given to masters that have not been gathered yet, and it still helps bind them to the tree of life. Okay. Now, if you're going to use it in any other way, it's to be placed on the feet. You don't use this for healing. It doesn't go in the gate of grace that you place on the back, which I didn't talk about yet. I'll talk about that after the next oil. After this oil. It's just not a healing. It's used for prayer and meditation. So if you're going to pray and you're going to meditate, I would use a drop of the Sandalphon on both of my feet, and I would use the Metatron oil on my ears so that I've got both areas covered, because Sandalphon is the angel that carries the prayers to God. Okay. And they call him Sandalphon because he collects sandals. He's got a thing about sandals. He's got a whole bunch of them. When he opens up his robe, there's a whole line. He's like, hey, buddy, you want to buy a sandal? And he doesn't sell them, by the way. He collects them. This one has a frequency range between 10 hertz and 400 or 4,444 hertz. So it's a pretty big span, right? Now, there is a process that you can do with all of those oils with the exception of the sandalphon, okay? There's a process where you place the gate on the back, okay? Your head is north, your tailbone is south, okay? And you place each of the oils in their corresponding spots, okay? And it's interactive. When you place an oil, you say something to the person you're placing the oil on, and they say something back to you. You say something to the effect of, as a child of God, I offer the oil of Michael for your healing. And just before you place the oil, they say, as a child of God, I accept the oil of Michael for my healing. So you're getting permission and giving permission at the same time, okay? So there you go. Once you go through all of the 9 positions or 8 positions of the gate, then you may place one of the Metatron, of the Christ, and one of the Shekinah. One of those 3 oils, okay? The Christ oil is for healing of the mind. No, the Christ oil is for healing of the emotion. The Metatron is for healing of the mind, and the Shekinah is for healing of the physical body. Okay. Now you do one of them at a time and you place it in the center of the gate that you've placed on the back. Okay. That'll be in one of the classes that I teach. It'll be in Angel Teachings 3. So you'll want to get involved in this. This is really fun. I'm limiting myself to 2 hours, and as you can tell, I've already gone over tremendously on the forks, and I barely even scratched the surface on that as far as the stuff that to give to the students. So these classes will be about 2 days each, and you can either do them in, we can do all 3 in like a 6-day span, or we can do it in 3 weekends, or we can do it this month, next month, the month after, or stagger them, whatever you guys want to do. Okay. So there's that. So when you do the gate on the back thing, you do it for a specific reason. It's for a mental reason, emotional reason, or a physical reason. Okay. And one thing I've forgotten to mention before, there are 3 things that need to be in place in order for healing to take place. Somewhere along the line, somebody called them conditions. No, they're not conditions. They are what's needed to be in place for healing to take place. It's not conditional. If you're missing one of them, the worst that can happen is nothing happens. Okay. However, we're not conditioning anything. There's no conditions on God's love. God's love is unconditional, just like your free will is unconditional. The 3 things that are needed in order for healing to take place is first, a desire to be healed. You're not going to get very far if you don't have a desire to be healed. You're wasting everybody's time if you're just wanting a healing. The second thing is you need to have knowledge of what's out, what's wrong, what's going on. And that may take a little bit of a deep dive. Sometimes I have to work with somebody for a little while to get to where they have an understanding of why they have this issue that they're having. And then the third thing that needs to be in place is the space, a clean environment for that healing to take place. Okay. So that's where you do it inside of the gate of grace. Okay. Because the gate of grace is a clean, sterile environment for healing to take place. And that's the other thing that the gate is used for. Okay. We're all clear on that? I don't see any hands up. We're good. All right.
Primo.
Okay. So after we received all of the oils of the Metatron, the Shekinah, the Michael, the Christ, the Sandalphon, we received an oil called the Holy of Holies. This oil is one of the most sacred oils that we have, highest sacred oils. All of them are basically. They're not more holy than another. But this one takes you to a place that can benefit you greatly. The Holy of Holies process is like you want to do a fast 3 days before you go into the Holy of Holies. And what they recommended was a juice fast. And the juice fast consists of one type of fruit. Let's say you want to do apple, okay? You can have the juice of one apple, and you may eat one apple during this day. The rest of the time, you want to fast because you're clearing your body out. You're going to be going to the restroom a little more than normal. You want to drink a lot of water, a lot of blessed water, a lot of star water or diamond water, whichever you're drinking. And you want to cleanse your body out for 3 days before you go into this Holy of Holies. Then this oil is much like the Christ oil. It's slathered on the palms of the hands, and you use a lot of it, like a layer of it. And then you go into the Holy of Holies. You place your hands on your heart, you say a few things, and you will. I actually achieved this a couple of times. The first time I went into the Holy of Holies, I was just really blown away at the beauty and the splendor of the place I was in. And you can see the Ark of the Covenant sitting there. And on either side of the Ark of the Covenant are your angels. The angel of the church that you're as, and the angel that supports that. Okay. So for me, I had Gabriel and I had Raphael, and their wings were pointing upwards, okay, to God. They, in the pictures I see on the internet and in the Bibles and all that other stuff, the angels have their wings pointing at each other. No, they're pointing upwards to God. Okay. Next to this Ark of the Covenant is a throne or the seat of the soul. That's where you sit. You go to that spot and you sit there and you receive your gifts from the omnipotency. They may speak to you. They may send frequency to you. They may just look at you. There may be an interaction. There may not be an interaction. Everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. My experience was mine, and I don't share that experience because it's mine. I get to keep it. And inside the Ark of the Covenant is the story of you. Your box is in there. And I saw that box one time when I had an experience. And I recognized that box and I recognized my symbol. Each of us have a symbol. Each of us have your life's story kept in that Ark of the Covenant. So you'll have to visit the Holy of Holies to be able to find out what's in there. And you may have to visit it more than once to get to find out. So practice, practice, practice. It's not a one and done thing. The Holy of Holies oil, as far as I know, that's all it does is take you to the Holy of Holies. But it can also help bring a mellowness to the area if you want to put it on your heart when you're not feeling up to par, or if you're getting angry or things like that. Use the Holy of Holies oil and it will chill you out. But it's yours because it's blessed to your frequency. It's not one you share with everybody. It's also wise to use the Master's oil before using the Holy of Holies oil, which leads me into the next oil, Master's oil. This is a very interesting oil as to where this is an oil that is made for you, by you, and with you, okay? There's a list of 7 oils that you use, and you can learn how to make it and go buy the oils yourself, or I have kits available for it, and it's on angelicgate.com. Feel free to go there and purchase it. And right now we're doing free shipping on everything. Even though shipping's gone up, we're still doing free shipping for a very limited time. I'm going to have to charge something for it soon because it's getting too much into the cost of things. So, but for the next few months, I'm probably going to keep free shipping up there. Or you can have a specific, buy up to a certain amount and get free shipping after that. I might do something like that. But if it's like a, $20 to $50 purchase, it would be crazy for me to do free shipping because it's going to, there's no anything in it. So, but the Master's oil, back to the Master's oil. It consists of Hassa. Wait a minute. Wrong one. Where'd you go? Okay, so this oil takes a few days to make. You make it in a 10 milliliter bottle, and it is made by you, the master, as a gift to yourself. It's not a Sharesy oil. Somebody can't touch your master's oil. Once you make it, guard it as if it's sacred, because it is. It's sacred to you. Okay. You add frankincense, rose, uh, frankincense, rose, nutmeg, hyssop, ginger, clove, and lemongrass. Okay. And each time you add an oil, you say something. And it's as a child of God, I bless this anointing oil of the masters and make it holy. Okay. Um, and that's when you make it. And then you lay it in your special place. You find a place in your home or your yard or your office or wherever that's holy and sacred. If you have an altar, that's a good place to put it. I have an altar. I put all of the oils I make on that altar. And the master's oil, when I make my master's oil, goes on the altar. Then when you receive it after, I believe it's 12 days that you wait and you receive it and you say a blessing. You say, blessed I am for the giving to I am a child of God. And you repeat that every time you place a drop on your body, when you anoint yourself with it. You can also mix this oil with other oils to get more out of those oils, more information, more vibration, more whatever it is that you need, more of an understanding. It helps you with these things, okay? Now, I said it's a no Sharesies oil. However, later on in the teachings, Michael came upon us and said, came to Joe and told us a new way of using the master's oil, where if you have a master who's trying to figure out their giftedness, or if they have figured out their giftedness, not if they're trying to figure it out. If they have figured out their gift, you can mix a drop of your master's oil and their church oil and bless it for them and have them put it on, and their gift will be revealed to them. Okay. Don't know what that looks like. Haven't tried. I did it many years ago. I don't remember the results. I did it with a few people. Don't remember off the top of my head what happened there. I do remember some profound things and some meh things. And you can do that for yourself. So, like for me, I'm of the Church of Pergamum. I take my master's oil and drop a pergamum oil, and I can put it on myself anytime. So, but again, that oil is yours. You can use it every day, every other day, every third day, every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. However you want to use it, it's your oil. Again, it's an oil, so it only lasts about a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years tops, and that's if you keep it in laminar crystal. Okay, and the laminar crystal is it's a biophoton mineral that pushes out light and it keeps things fresh. It'll make your water structured and alive. It'll make your oils structured and alive. And that's what basically that stuff does for you. So we have little jars of the stuff and you can put it in with your oils and it does keep them fresh for quite some time. But again, if you're using your oils, you do want to keep them fresh, but you don't want to keep them forever in a day. If you have oils that's over 3 years old, chances are they're dead. So you want to order some. And we have plenty of that stuff in stock. So, Gabriel's oil. This oil was given to us in 2002, about 2001. I want to say 2001, 2000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Whenever Gabby was born, and we got this Gabriel's oil. And it's not Pergamum's oil, it's Gabriel's light. And it is for the naming of a child of God. Okay. So you may say to yourself, well, my mother gave me a name or my parents gave me a name. Why do I need to name myself? Gabriel explained it this way. He says, I tell you truly, 3 times the Holy of Hosts turned towards you. The first time the Holy of Hosts turned towards you is when you were born. They turn towards you that they may know that you are about God's work in the world. Okay? The second time is when you are given a name by Archon, when your parents name you. The holy hosts of heaven turn towards you that they may know you by that name. Okay? The third time they turn towards you and they recognize you is when you die or when you go home. They turn towards you and rejoice in the glory of God returning home. Then Gabriel says, I give you my oil that you may give permission to the holy hosts of heaven to intercede in your spiritual knowing. So what you do is you take this oil and you place a drop of it on the forehead. Now you can anoint yourself or have someone else anoint you. This is one of the only oils that can be used with pregnant women. Okay. All of the other oils, I want to make sure you know, don't use it with pregnant women because the body is being made ready for the soul and it cannot be tampered with. Okay. So you don't want to use any of these essential oils on pregnant women, just the Gabriel. It's the only exception. It's just mild. You can also use it on babies when, you could do the naming on a baby. They'll cry a whole lot, most babies I've ever done, and scream their bloody head off. When we did Gabrielle, she was screaming her head off the whole time we were there. And it was really amazing. We did it in a little town called Hamilton, Montana, where we had the first couple of Tree of Life conferences. They weren't really Eden events yet. They were just the masters coming together for a purpose. What that purpose was, we are still unclear, but we got it together. Anyhow, the anointing is, let me see if I can remember this without looking. You place your thumb on their forehead and you say, I anoint you their name. Know now and forever as a child of God, blessed is this oil that Gabriel's trumpet will announce your name in paradise. And that's it. And then the holy of hosts of heaven turn towards that child of God and they intercede in their spiritual advancements and their knowledge. Okay. So this is another important oil. It's also very good for skin conditions, placing it in a bath with rashes or eczema or any kind of skin stuff. Really does numbers on the skin stuff. Great for any kind of funguses or any of that. It's got lemongrass and all kinds of skin stuff in it. And it smells really good. And that's basically how you use that. It's not done necessarily, you don't use it for a healing. You use it in the naming of a child of God. I also like to, I got some right here as a matter of fact. We had a celebration of life here last week, and some folks were having some emotional things going on, and some folks were having some anger issues as a result of the emotional things going on. So Joe taught me this one. I took a bottle of water, a spray bottle, and you put it on mist, Takes a second to mist it. You want it misting, you don't want it squirting. I took about 5 or 6 drops of the Gabriel's oil and I just put it in the water, shook it up a bit. And I went around the house and I started squirting this stuff. And within about 20, 30 minutes, everybody mellowed the heck out and we started getting along again. So it's a real chill thing. You can put it in a diffuser. You can do this with any of the church oils, or not the church oils, excuse me, any of the Seraphim angel oils, the Michael, Metatron, Shekinah, Christ. Look to see what it does and then use that for the application. You can also burn it on a charcoal. You can put it in a diffuser and put it into the air. We were also told that some of the oils will help with flying bacteria and viruses and stuff. The Christ oil, when you burn the Christ oil, it will kill anthrax in the air. It'll kill the flu virus in the air, the cold virus in the air. It will kill it. COVID virus, kill it right in the air. Okay. So it's not only beneficial to use these oils on your body, very beneficial to use them in the air. Okay. That was Gabriel's oil. So then we move into the Song of Songs oil. This one is really super cool. This one's used, I believe it's used once a week. Okay. And you place it on your heart, your throat, and your third eye. Okay. And it's my blessings, my gifts, and my deeds are of you when you place it. Okay. And you place your palm out. And that means of you. Everybody, God, everything, because everything is God, everything is existence. Yep. It says place a drop of the oil on the middle finger of either hand and touch your heart, your throat, and your forehead, saying, my blessings, my gifts, and my deeds are of you. This will raise your vibration and open the space for you to receive. This oil is placed on the heart to open the heart to loving grace. The emotions are brought to a higher frequency, blending the driving passion of the physical with their compassion of the divine. Our blessings. The Shekinah tuning fork is placed on the heart and it creates a place for love to stand. So you can use the oil and some forks, okay? Then it is placed on the throat to raise the vibration of what we speak, that our words may be loving and kind, acknowledging all of God's children in the oneness of love that we are. Our gifts, our gifts. The Gabriel tuning fork is placed on the throat and gives power to that which we speak. Lastly, we place the oil on our forehead, opening our minds to the loving thought of the divine. We begin to think as one to create create a wondrous world where we care for all things as part of us and all things care for us, our deeds. The Metatron fork is placed on the forehead and it opens the mind to see the sixth sense. Do this process once every 7 days to keep your vibrations high. This process works like the critical mass principle. Once you reach a certain point, you are locked in and will not go back. So you get yourself put to a frequency to where you're moving it out. You spend very little time in your traps to learn. You spend more time in your gift. The goal is to learn. The goal is to teach. Okay, so the trap is not a bad thing at all. I've heard a lot of people going, oh, they're just in their traps and don't listen to them. And rather than saying something like that, go acknowledge that they're in a time of rapid spiritual growth, bless their heart, get the brick, move on. Stop taking everybody's inventory. Stop judging everybody. Stop going, oh, I don't like what that guy did. Bless their hearts. They're a brick factory. Start blessing people instead of getting upset with them being upset. We keep this vicious circle going and we're never going to get anywhere. So that's a little Dave's 2 cents for it. All right. Last but not least here, the oil of the I am. There are other oils, like the Festival of Light and Novus Invictus. We'll get to that in a minute. The I am oil. Now, this one, it used to be that it was only to be used by those who have been gathered. Okay. It's not an oil that you smell. You don't want to smell it. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to put it on your body because if you do, you have to wash your hands with I'll say this
Dirt.
correctly. Dirt that is dry dirt that is moist and dirt that is wet. Okay, so you start with the powder, you go with the moist, then you go with the wet. Okay, and then you wash your hands off with water that has been blessed. Huge pain in the throat. I I got some of this on me this winter. It gets a little cold here in the winter, and it just so happens to be the week that it was snowing and everything was frozen, and I couldn't find, I had to go into my basement to find some dry dirt. So anyhow, it was kind of a pain in the ass for me. Yes, I said ass. Anyhow, you don't want this stuff on you because you'll start having things happen that you don't want to happen. It's kind of a counterproductive. It's not a negative thing. You're just inviting something in that you don't know how to handle. So you want to get it off you as soon as possible. So, not saying that you are dumb or anything like that and you can't handle certain things. It's just some things we are not meant to deal with, and that's one of them. So, if you are gathered, you can use this oil. If you're not gathered, you can use this oil. I do stress that you use this with the most sacred, the most holy, the most respect that you can muster. It's more of a respect than anything else. I'm gonna let him out again. He keeps going in the back. Come on, buddy. No, you don't want to go out there? All right, I think we'll breathe over there. I'm not gonna pet you right now. I love you. All right. So respect on that oil. All of these oils should be regarded with respect and not to be held above you or below you, but just the respect that it's due because it's so sacred and you're giving us these things to help move us forward. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything I've missed? What is the healing process? Okay. Novus Invictus oil. This oil is one that we use during the holidays. We bring back the light. Okay, we do a process called the Novus Invictus process on December 20th, 21st. No, is it 21st, 22nd, or 23rd? No, 22nd, 23rd, or 24th. 22nd, 23rd, 24th of December, you can do the Novus Invictus process. This is a process you can do as a group or you can do individually. You need to set up a tabernacle, a gate of grace, and have some oils, some lamps, and a bunch of other things. If you don't have all of those things, you can still do the process. Just use what you have at hand. If you have the means, by all means, go ahead and order those things beforehand. But if you don't have the means to get them, use what you got. If all you have is Master's oil, use that. If all you have is Michael's oil, use that. If all you have is Shekinah's oil, use that. You get where I'm going with this. Okay, cool. So you can basically use these in any way you know. Somebody dropped out of the room. I think they need back in. No, I think they're good. All right. Just use these oils with respect and as you would treat anything that's holy. You should treat yourself the same way too, because you're more holy than any of these tools. Right. Novus Invictus oil. Now, that one is also used for meditation. You can use that on your temples before you use the oils. You can use it for meditation. It really helps bring your frequencies to the place that it needs to be for you to do any of those things like meditate or manifestation. There's a multitude of uses for that particular one. The Festival of Light oil. This one is burnt in a room where you want to use, bring the spirit of Christmas or the spirit of consciousness, the spirit of love into your home. You burn this on a charcoal or you can diffuse it. You can also place it on your body. It kind of opens, it smells really Christmassy, and it kind of helps open up your third eye. At least that was my experience when I tried it. Robbie used to make oil called Angelic Air that wasn't given by the angels and it's no longer available, but that would clear the air and bring angels in, as she would say. Seemed to do that. We had another oil that we used to make a long time ago called Camiel's Pillar of Manifestation. That time is come and gone. It was used for manifestation. Now we use the Novus Invictus oil for manifestation. The Da'oth oil, an oil that we just received. We use that to get into the Da'oth. You place it on your crown, you tune yourself in, and you go into the Da'oth. Okay. I have some left. I don't believe I'm going to be making any more of it, but if you guys need some, you'll have to private message me, call me on my phone, or email me through the website, and I can get that oil to you. Pricing and all that stuff will be told to you over the phone. It's not one of the cheaper oils. We also have the the Three Kings oil that's used with a process. The Three Kings oil is also used to raise your vibration. It's used during the Novus Invictus process. And that's about all. I don't think it's used for healing in any way yet. It's one of those just for me kind of oils or just for you kind of oils. But when you use the Three Kings oil, you place it on your heart, and then you take from your heart your crown and you place it on your head. It's pretty cool. And you can do that a few times a year. I would recommend using the Three Kings oil before going into the 50 gates. Also, if you have gone through the 50 gates or if you have a 50 gates manual, the frequencies you use to get through the 50 gates are the Sephiroth forks. So each gate have a name of the Sephiroth. You would use that frequency to help get you through that gate. Okay. And of course, you would use your master's oil to help create more of a boon for you there. How are we on time? I'm only gone over a little bit. And that's pretty much it on the oils for now. So if you're on the call, if you're in the room here, I'll take a look at who's here. If you need any of the forks and the oils, give me a call or private message me. And only for people in this webinar, I'll give you 10% off of your entire order. So if you need to order any of these things, okay? And you could go to angelicgate.com and find the things that you need. I've adjusted some prices on the oils. The forks haven't changed. As a matter of fact, I got an increase on the forks this year due to tariffs. So I'm trying not to raise the prices on them. So I'd rather not. I'm going to eat some of that so that you guys can get these tools because they're already very expensive. They're the highest quality tuning forks you could possibly find and the highest quality oils that we could possibly find. So that's my gift to you guys for coming in and listening to me talk about these things for a couple of hours. Now, if you want to donate, you can donate through Venmo. On the website is my phone number. You use that number for my Venmo, or you can go to PayPal and do orders@angelicgate.com is the email for my PayPal. So if you want to donate anything, that's great too. So, but there you go. There's my 2-hour conversation on tuning forks and oils. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions in the future, don't hesitate to call me. I actually answer the phone. The only time I don't answer the phone is when I turn the darn thing off, and that's when I'm napping or I'm in bed. Once I go to bed, phone goes off, I'll call you back the next day. No problem. But I will answer your call, and I will be there for you, and I'll do my very best to help you find the solution to whatever problem you might have or answer the question that you may have. And I've been here for the Masters for a very long time, and I hope to be here for a long time to be in support of you guys. And I hope we grow in numbers. I encourage you to do gatherings. If you haven't done a gathering yet, please go do a gathering. It's really fun. It's a 3-day process. You're going to bond with some cool people. You're going to learn some new things, and you raise your own vibration. Each time you do a gathering, your gate starts spinning a little faster. So by the time you get to the 7th gathering, you're spinning at a really incomprehensible amount of frequency going on there. And you're bringing 7 more people into the boon so that we can get possibly 7 more people to the event. The event's coming up in June, the 17th through the 21st in Castle Rock, Colorado. Go to angelicgate.com to register. If you don't have the internet or whatever, you're probably not viewing this. Or if somebody's showing you this video, you can find the contact information on the website, have somebody get it for you. But mainly you have to have the internet in order to find most of this stuff. So we also have a couple of Facebook pages. We have an Instagram, and that's about it right now. I'm not on Twitter, won't go on Twitter, ain't doing Twitter, never going to Twitter. So I'm not a twit. So anyhow, again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime. And I'm going to go ahead and conclude the webinar at this time. And as always, my blessings, my gifts, and my deeds are of you. Nadu, nadu.